need some competition out here. Come on.
Yes, they have to do it. Our people don't.
Interested in promoting your brand, business, or talent on Hip Hop News Uncensored? Hit me up right now at advertise@hiphopun.com. That's advertise@hiphopun.com. Hit me ASAP. Very affordable rates. Now to our regularly scheduled program.
That's not something that we should accept ever.
Now, I heard you talking about the Super Bowl halftime show on one of your programs on YouTube, but I want to turn your attention to this and ask you about Jay-Z, because Daily Beast did an article. They put, "Don't be fooled by Jay-Z's star-studded Super Bowl halftime show. It's merely using hip-hop to put a Band-Aid on the NFL's problems with race and exploitation of black athletes." How do you kind of just feel about that statement? How do you feel about when Jay-Z first came into this? He was supposed to be, social justice warrior, which he is. He does a lot of things, exposing the prisons, but dealing with the NFL, how do you feel about Jay-Z's, work with the NFL right now and the halftime show in particular? Do you think he's failed us, or do you think we should give him more time?
I think that to conclude Jay-Z failed us would have to do with what we expected from him in the first place. Okay. I didn't really expect much. I see Jay-Z as a rapper. That's he's a businessman, and he ain't no activist, and there's no track record there. And, business-wise, I'm sure he's good at that too, right? So in terms of his relationship with the NFL, I kind of thinking he is doing exactly what he's doing, pretty much what I thought he was going to do. Okay, yeah, there's more rappers performing there, but Jay-Z probably hooked that up. Him and Dre are friends or whatever, and that ain't got shit to do with the state of black people anywhere.
Right.
The entertainment is what you got to keep it in its place. There's nothing revolutionary for the community about the fact that Dr. Dre and Snoop and Mary J. Blige and Kendrick Lamar were on the stage at that Super Bowl. There's nothing that's gonna that's gonna give you your reparations about that show. There's nothing about that show that's going to fix the broken black families in America. There's nothing about that show that's going to stop police shootings. There's nothing about that show that's going to stop violence in the hood. There's nothing about that show that's going to help with the educational problems in the community. Nothing, right? It's a show. That's what it is. And so, it's interesting to me because you had Kaepernick, who was in a labor dispute with the NFL. He's mad because they took his job because he took a knee on the job. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that. But I also would say that it's ironic because they're kind of, so Cap gets mad at Jay because Jay comes into the NFL and of course we know that they're using Jay to squash out the Kaepernick controversy, right? So it's like we'll get this guy so we can get rid of this guy, right? That's what that was, and it worked. It worked like a charm.
Yeah. But
what the real question is, in my view, is why haven't black men really started their own professional sports league? That's the $1 billion question. Remember, the Chicago Bears were purchased for like $50. They're worth $4 billion right now. Just 2 generations later, other teams were purchased for $200-300. They're worth billions and billions of dollars. And we've got all the talent. We've got plenty of smart people in the community that would rush to help Jay-Z and Kaepernick form a template and a framework for the establishment of a league. All they would have to do is be willing to have a little bit of vision and make a little bit of a sacrifice. Turn down the white man's shiny objects that are going to give you temporary short-term gratification for you and your family, and focus on the bigger picture that's further down the road where the whole black community is winning because we got a league of our own. We already provide all the talent on the stage, on the field, everywhere in between. Why in the hell have we not created our own sports league? Don't flex to me about how much money you made if you're not creating at least 10, 20,000 jobs in the community. If you're not a job creator, then you ain't shit. You're just a guy. You're just another rich guy. You might as well be white for the most part. The only difference between you and a rich white guy is the rich white guy may or may not have made all his money by exploiting, black culture and selling it, shipping it out around the world. Again, I'm not being mean I'm trying not to be mean to these guys, but because I don't dislike them, but you know, Dr. Dre did the whole little thing where he had Compton on his hand, right? And he's like I control the city of Compton. One of the things that we have to understand is that leadership comes with responsibility. So if I got Compton in the palm of my hand, I'm the leader. I'm the king of Compton. I control Compton. So when Compton's doing bad, I'm doing bad, right? I can't sit here and say, well, I'm doing good. Me and my family living good in the hills. Compton is, you know, little babies getting shot in the street. Ain't no jobs nowhere. You know, like you know, seriously. So the thing is, I want to encourage everybody to sort of reconsider. Like every time you see a video where there's some guy rolling through the hood and he's driving a Bentley that's all shiny and he's got a $30,000 Rolex on his wrist, but he's standing next to like, you know, some grown man with a dusty wife beater riding a bike and some little kid looking like he ain't ate in 3 days. You know what I mean? Like sitting in front of some raggedy grocery store that nobody shops at. People just sit in front of it drinking liquor all day. You're really kind of telling on yourself. You're really presenting yourself as a slumlord. You know, because you're like, look, I'm shining, but my community's struggling. And that tells me that you don't understand what leadership is all about, what manhood's about, what fatherhood is all about. You know, like if you're a father of a group of people or father of the community, or if I'm the father of these children, I can't say I'm doing my job as a man when my children are dusty or homeless or my woman's out here struggling, right? I have a responsibility there. So I would say with Dr. Dre, okay, yeah, are you really the king of Compton? Well, if you're the king, you're not doing a very good job of protecting the kingdom. You know, but people honor you because you're ruling over a community that has very low self-esteem. So when they see you shining because the white man gave you a bunch of money and put you on a big stage and made you famous, we look up to that. We say, oh, that's so great. Look at him. Look at how well he's doing. And we fall for that symbolism as opposed to saying, well, what about the rest of us? Remember, look at, say, Malcolm X. Malcolm X used to say all the time, he said, you can't just love me and not love my people. If you don't love my people, then you don't love me. Because me and my people are one and the same. Muhammad Ali was the same way. That's why Malcolm and Muhammad Ali are some of the greatest black men of all time.
Powerful.
Indeed. When transfer over to finances really, really quick. Obviously, we see what's going on out in the Ukraine and Russia and things like that. And we see the effects of the stock market behind that. Hypothetically speaking, you're a kid, you're a brother, you're somebody that has money in the stock market. You have money laying around and you have this situation going on around you. In your expert opinion, not being a stock expert, not giving stock advice, so to speak, what's some of the stocks that you may encourage somebody to look into given the situation and circumstances right now?
I would look into sturdy companies that are making money. I wouldn't look into companies that have a negative, that are losing money, right? They have negative profits and all that, because what's happening now is you're entering into a period of a lot of risk. There's two big things that you want to look into with the stock market happening right now. One is the war in Ukraine, obviously. The other one is the Fed. The Federal Reserve was going to start increasing interest rates this year, which is going to drop stock prices. So long story short, what you're doing is you're going into a period of tremendous uncertainty. It's a lot of volatility. You're going to be riding the Bronco, right? And the best way to really ride that Bronco is to pick a strategy and stick with it. Don't overreact to what happens every single day. It's just like me raising my teenage daughter, man. Every other day she's having an emotional crisis, and one day she's happy, next day she's sad. One minute everything's fine, next minute she's crying. I can't do all that. I can't be crying with her and going crazy with her. I have to be sturdy and consistent, right? So the same thing is true with investing. Your portfolio is gonna go berserk. It's gonna keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. Pick a strategy, stick with it. Go for high quality companies. Look for those S&P 500 companies. There's an S&P 500 ETF with the ticker symbol SPY. SPY allows you to track the S&P 500. That's where the money's at. One bright spot of the economy is that these companies are still making money hand over fist like crazy, but they're dealing with some interesting headwinds, like inflation is out of control. Nobody knows what the Fed's going to do. If this war keeps getting worse, then you could see more dips in the market. If you're a person that buys the dip, then keep buying the dip, because historically, eventually the dip reverses. Right. You know, so if you're just buying the dip, then eventually you come back up. But you got to spread your money out. Don't sort of pick one stock that you think is going to do it, and don't go after a bunch of crazy stuff like Dogecoin and all that, unless you want to gamble. If you want to gamble, cool, do that, but don't gamble with your long-term wealth. That money should be as sturdy as possible, and your best by aiming for quality companies, big companies, I'm talking about the Microsofts and companies, the Apples, companies like that. Don't go digging too far in the weeds right now, because right now you're dealing with a really interesting market situation.
My last question will be on the war we see going on, Russia and Ukraine. Should we be not worried, but should we be focused in on that as Black people? We see a lot of Black people being mistreated. What's your stance on that, and how do you feel about that war going on right now?
I don't like it. I don't think anybody likes war. War is always a problem because you have so many complex relationships between countries where, one country steps in because of another country, whatever, and it could escalate. Right? You have a world that has nuclear weapons everywhere. Any one of those nukes going off, everything changes, right? Yeah. So be ready for that. If you got the means to do it, I have a survival kit in my garage just in case we go off the grid. There's no internet, no electricity, no nothing. I got all of that just in case. Just be ready for that, because your life could change instantly forever, just like that. But before we get to Armageddon, in between now and then, I think that a lot of what you're seeing on the internet, whether it's pro or anti-Russia, it's propaganda. Russia is all over social media, and they go straight for Black people because they know Black people are emotional. So they love to mess with Black people's emotions to create that, to really feed off that racial division in America, and to feed their cause. So that video, I believe that video from Ukraine, I believe that was a plan. I believe it was a Russian plan. Now, again, though, does it mean it's not real? It may be real. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying I believe that the Soviets or the Russians did that. But at the same time, here's what's interesting to me, man, is if those were two African countries going at it, it wouldn't even be on the news. Why in the fuck do I give a shit about Ukraine? I ain't never thought about Ukraine like that. That's my point. Like I kind of, there's like literally 99 things I could think about before I get to Ukraine. So I'm not saying that it's not relevant. I pay attention to it because everybody else does. It affects the stock market. But why is this so interesting? And again, pay attention. Notice that they stopped talking about that virus and jump from one crisis to the next. That's all because a lot of this media stuff is very planned. And they don't want to admit that all their jabs and all that stuff wasn't working. Their mandates weren't working. So instead of admitting that or correcting that, they just kind of jump into the next crisis, right? And a lot of this is a big old lie, man. So I say, keep up with it. But this is not Ukraine. Russia is not the most important thing in the world for Black people, in my opinion. So I'm not diving into it. I'm just not even really participating in any of those conversations.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting because I know it's been a fact that Russians have been spending a lot of propaganda on the internet over the years. A lot of false information. But
yeah, I ain't paying attention to white on white crime, and I ain't doing it.
Yeah, that's what it is. This white on white crime. It's good. It's good entertainment, but it ain't something. I don't like war though. I hope, when one country invades another one, it can become like a domino effect around the world, and that's what you have to look out for, because you will see like increases in the price of gas, because Russia has so much oil. But for the most part, it ain't gonna have no effect 9 times out of 10 on anything that we got going on over here.
Indeed. We definitely appreciate you, Dr. Boyce Watkins, on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Been long overdue, but brother, anytime you come on here, it's always a wealth of knowledge. And we always say the last time was the best time. I'm gonna say it again. I feel like this is one of our best interviews, man. We definitely appreciate you. Right now, the floor is yours. Please drop your social media information on your business school, anything else you want to share.
Okay. Well, if people go to boycewatkins.com, they can find everything they need to know. Boycewatkins.com. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins, and that'll get you everything you need.
Indeed, brother. I always appreciate you, Dr. Boyce Watkins, on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Till next time, sir. Salute.
Appreciate it. All right, brothers.
Appreciate you.
Good to see you guys again.
Always. You too.
All right. Look forward to talking again. All right.
Sure. Thank you.
Appreciate